You check your phone again. No new messages. You tell yourself it doesn't matter, but something in your chest disagrees. That small ache isn't random. It isn't weakness. It's older than language, older than cities, older than the idea of being alone at all. What if loneliness was never a feeling? What if it's an alarm? Think about hunger for a moment. Hunger doesn't just inform you that you need food. It makes you uncomfortable enough to do something about it. It's not a passive readout. It's a push. Loneliness works the same way. It isn't a mood that happens to you. It's a signal your body built on purpose, to move you toward other people. Here's the strange part. For almost all of human history, being alone wasn't just sad, it was dangerous. A human on their own, out on the savannah 60,000 years ago, had no night watch. No one to warn them about the rustle in the grass, no one to help carry the injured body home, no one to share the kill or share the risk of getting it. Groups meant eyes, groups meant hands, groups meant survival. So evolution did what it does best. It built discomfort into disconnection, not because being alone feels bad by accident, but because feeling bad kept you from staying alone. Dr. John Cacioppo, a social neuroscientist who spent decades studying isolation, described loneliness as functioning like physical pain. Pain tells you something is wrong with your body, fix it now. Loneliness tells you something is wrong with your position in the group, fix it now. Cacioppo's research went further than metaphor. He and his colleagues found that chronic loneliness raises cortisol levels, disrupts sleep, and is linked to inflammation markers usually associated with physical injury. Your body, on some level, treats social disconnection the way it treats a wound. That should stop you for a second. A wound. Because that's not how we usually talk about loneliness. We talk about it like an emotion, something soft and internal. But your nervous system is treating it like a threat to your survival. Think about what happens when you feel truly excluded. Not just quiet, but shut out. Left off the group chat. Not invited. Ignored in a room full of people. Notice where you feel it. It's not abstract. It sits in your chest, your stomach, sometimes your throat. That's not a coincidence. Naomi Eisenberger, a social psychologist, ran studies using brain imaging on people experiencing social rejection. She found that the same regions of the brain that activate during physical pain also activate during social exclusion. Your brain didn't bother building a separate system for social pain. It reused the one it already had for bodily injury. Because for most of your evolutionary history, they were the same category of threat. Being cut off from the group wasn't an inconvenience. It was often a death sentence, just a slower one. Consider what anthropologists have found when they study the few remaining hunter-gatherer societies left on Earth. Among groups like the Hadza of Tanzania, survival has never been a solo project. Food is shared even when a hunter comes back empty-handed. Childcare is distributed across dozens of hands, not just two parents. Nobody sleeps too far from anybody else. This isn't kindness for its own sake, it's insurance. A body alone cannot watch for predators while it sleeps. A body alone cannot search for water while nursing a fever. The group was the actual survival mechanism. The individual was never the unit that made it through the night. The group was. So here's the reframe. That ache when you feel disconnected isn't your mind being fragile. It's your mind doing exactly what it was built to do. Sounding an alarm that says, get back to your people. But here's where it gets stranger, and this is the twist. The alarm still works exactly the same way today, except the world it's sounding the alarm in has completely changed. You are statistically more connected than any human who has ever lived. You can message someone on the other side of the planet in under a second. You can watch hundreds of strangers' lives unfold on a screen every single day. And yet loneliness, by nearly every major public health measure, has been rising for decades. Why would that be if connection is just a click away? Because your alarm system wasn't built to respond to information about other people. It was built to respond to presence, shared space, shared risk, shared effort. Scrolling through someone's photos tells your brain that a person exists. It does not tell your brain that you are safe with them. It does not tell your ancient alarm system that there are more eyes watching the dark, more hands ready to help carry weight. So the alarm keeps ringing, quietly, persistently, in the background of an unbelievably connected life. This is the modern mismatch. You are surrounded by more contact than any ancestor could imagine, and your oldest circuitry still reads it as isolation because contact and connection were never actually the same thing. Robin Dunbar, the anthropologist known for studying the cognitive limits of social groups, has pointed out that meaningful relationships require ongoing, effortful maintenance, not passive awareness. Following someone online is not the same as sitting across from them, sharing a meal, noticing them notice you back. Dunbar's work suggests something else worth sitting with. Even in a world of thousands of followers and contacts, most people can only sustain somewhere around 5 truly close relationships at once, and maybe 15 good ones beyond that. The rest is acquaintance, not belonging. Your alarm system knows the difference, even when your notification count doesn't. Your alarm system doesn't care how many people know you exist. It cares whether you are embedded, whether you would be missed if you disappeared for a week, whether someone would come looking. That's a much smaller circle than most of us think we have. There's a further wrinkle here, and it might be the strangest part of all. Loneliness doesn't just feel bad, it changes how you see the world while you're in it. Cacioppo's later research found that lonely people don't just withdraw from others. Their brains start scanning for threat more aggressively. Neutral faces get read as slightly hostile. Ambiguous comments get read as slightly dismissive. It's not paranoia, it's an ancient safety protocol. If you are cut off from the group, and the group was your protection, then everything outside your reach starts to look a little more dangerous, because for most of your evolutionary history, it was, which creates something close to a trap. Loneliness makes you more suspicious of connection at exactly the moment you need it most. The alarm meant to send you back toward people can, left unanswered long enough, start pushing you away from them instead. This is why the modern advice to just put yourself out there so often falls flat for someone who is genuinely isolated. It's not a failure of effort. It's a mismatch between an ancient warning system and a brain that has started, understandably, treating the outside world as unsafe. There's a biological layer underneath all of this that makes the whole system even more elegant. Oxytocin, the hormone most people associate with bonding, doesn't just get released during moments of closeness. Research led by neuroscientist Sue Carter and others has shown it plays a direct role in lowering stress responses when you're near people you trust. It's not just a reward for connection. It's a chemical signal telling your body it can stand down, that the threat level has dropped because you are no longer facing the world alone. Which means the opposite is also true. Without that signal, your baseline stress doesn't just stay neutral. It stays elevated. Cortisol lingers. Your nervous system behaves as if danger is still nearby, because as far as your oldest circuitry is concerned, danger being nearby and support being absent were always the same condition. This is part of why chronic loneliness has been linked, across large population studies, to outcomes as serious as elevated risk of heart disease and shortened lifespan. Steve Cole, a genomics researcher, found that chronic loneliness alters gene expression in immune cells, tilting the body toward inflammation and away from antiviral defense. Your body is, in a very real sense, preparing for a kind of threat that used to always travel with isolation. Fewer allies, less warning, higher risk. None of this means being alone occasionally is dangerous. Solitude and loneliness are not the same thing, and your alarm system knows that too. Choosing to spend an evening alone when you know people are reachable and would show up if you called doesn't trigger the same response. The alarm isn't measuring how many bodies are in the room. It's measuring whether you believe, on some deep and often unconscious level, that you are still tethered to a group that would notice your absence. That's the actual variable your ancient circuitry is tracking. Not proximity, not head count, tether. So what do you do with an alarm this old, ringing in a world this new? You stop treating loneliness as evidence that something is wrong with you. It isn't a character flaw. It's a signal doing its ancient job in an environment it was never designed for. And you stop trying to silence it with more scrolling, more notifications, more surface contact. That's like trying to quiet a smoke alarm by waving a fan at it. The signal isn't wrong. The response has to change. The old solution still works because your body hasn't updated its instructions. Presence, shared time, shared effort, a conversation where someone actually sees you respond. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It rarely was, for most of human history. It was cooking near someone else, walking somewhere together, sitting in a room while someone did something else nearby, simply within reach. Your ancestors didn't survive the night by broadcasting to hundreds of people. They survived it by being close enough to a handful of them that someone would notice if they went missing. Tonight you might check your phone again. No new messages. That ache is still there. But now you know what it actually is. Not a flaw in you. A message from every ancestor who needed each other to survive the night, still trying, quietly, to bring you home. If you enjoyed this, consider subscribing so you don't miss what's coming next. And while you're here, check out one of the other videos on your screen right now. Just pick one, click, and I'll see you over there.